Hey, so I know you're coming onto this video waving your fist because to those who have paid attention, we did not do a recap last month. There were a couple things that I was interested in talking about, but there wasn't enough that I felt like warranted an entire video. I also was overcome with my Bloom series amongst getting sick and other things, so here we are. The two topics that I wanted to cover last month will be jammed into this video first and foremost, and I won't be spending an immense time talking about them, but as per usual, videos that I've watched explaining situations will be in the description down below for anybody who's interested in doing further research with videos by people who are more credible than me in my opinion. So let's just jump into this. Dr. Disrespect was at some point one of the biggest streamers on Twitch. People liked his content. I was never really into him, but even I had some kind of respect for the fact that he was successful and had that tough guy persona. Well, about 4 years ago, he suddenly and swiftly gets completely banned off of Twitch. And if you don't have familiarity with this kind of thing, that's a big deal. If you get in trouble for doing some shit on Twitch, it'll usually just be a temporary ban of the sort. Something that'll last a week, maybe 24 hours or 48 hours, something that you can usually come back from regardless. And this can occur from things like nudity, accidental or not, generally showing explicit or copywritten content, and yeah, I don't know, stuff like that. Whatever else might get you banned on the internet for a while now. But back to that original ban 4 years ago, everybody was clamoring to figure out exactly what it was that happened. Nobody ever got answers back then, as it was understood that legally nobody could give answers. And so for almost 3 years now, we never found out why Dr. Disrespect got banned until, of course, last month. It turns out that Dr. Disrespect was in contact and communication with a 17-year-old girl through Twitch Whispers, which is basically a chat through Twitch that allows you to still stream while personally messaging people privately. And we can deduce that at a certain point, this conversation must have gotten inappropriate for Twitch to step in and to have banned him. It all starts with this tweet from apparently a very recent ex-Twitch employee that reads, "He got banned because he got caught sexting a minor in the then existing Twitch Whispers product. He was trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon. The powers that be could read in plain text. Case closed, gang." Naturally, this blew the fuck up on Twitter, to which Dr. Disrespect comes out replying, "Jake, seriously, I get it. It's a hot topic, but this has been settled. No wrongdoing was acknowledged, and they paid out the entire contract." Which, can I just say, this is a really fucking terrible reply. It's almost basically self-admittance to the fact that you were investigated, but because nothing came out of it means that you're good, you're excused. But on top of that, you're downplaying the severity of the accusation by saying that nothing was found, even though you got fucking banned regardless. So, following this and the internet's reactions and uproars, Dr. Disrespect just comes up with this tweet. I'm gonna read my favorite bits for you now. "Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes leaned too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Nothing illegal happened, no pictures were shared, no crimes were committed, I never even met the individual. I went through a lengthy arbitration regarding a civil dispute with Twitch, and that case was resolved in a settlement. Let me be clear. It was not a criminal case against me, and no criminal charges have ever been brought against me." Now, with all this said, don't get it fucking mistaken. I've seen all remarks and labels being thrown around so loosely. Social media is a destruction zone. I'm no fucking predator or pedophile. Are you kidding me? Anyone that truly knows me fucking knows where I stand on those things with those types of people. Fuck that. That's a different level of disgust that I fucking hate even hearing about. Don't be labeling me as the worst of the worst with your exaggerations. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Finally, if you're uncomfortable with this entire statement and think I'm a piece of shit, that's fine, but I'm not fucking going anywhere. I'm not the same guy that made this mistake all those years ago. I'm taking an extended vacation with my family as mentioned on stream, and I'm coming back with a heavy weight off my shoulders. They want me to disappear? Yeah, fucking right. So to sum it up, he straight up admits to speaking inappropriately with said minor in 2017 and copes by saying there were no intentions of actually doing something despite the messages. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it's really funny that he's trying to have this persona of still being this badass motherfucker who's gonna make it out of this mess and make it come back someday because at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with talking to an underage girl. Like, what the fuck about that says heroes come back? But what's craziest about this tweet, and the craziest of all, is the fact that, of course, and naturally, he's gotten support from this. And when I heard about all of this, the first thought that came to my mind is that even though Dr. Disrespect spoke inappropriately with the 17-year-old despite having a wife and a child, his own career is in his hands. Time and time again, we've seen people get canceled for plenty of things, whether justified or not, but they always just come back or act like they've never left, like nothing has happened, and people just eat that shit up and completely forget about their controversies altogether. I'm often reminded of people like Chris Brown and James Charles. We all know that Chris Brown beat Rihanna's ass in the early 2000s. It wasn't a punch in the face either. He literally destroyed her. Her face was disfigured and discolored with bruising. But if you go on Chris Brown's Instagram page, there's countless of women who are obsessed with him, just begging to have a shot with him, and his recent music still gets radio plays despite the fact that he terrorized Rihanna back in the day, and also despite the fact that he actually has a track record in more recent times of domestic violence. And as for James Charles, it was proven not once, but twice that he was having conversation with underage boys. Two completely different ones, mind you. And sure, you could say, it doesn't matter, L, because everybody clowns on James Charles for what he did till this day. But the fact of the matter is, he's still on the internet and he's still making a living, same as Chris Brown. Once these two got canceled, and although under different circumstances and in vastly different times, they just managed to come back like nothing ever happened in the first place. And despite what I personally consider egregious crimes. But from a business standpoint, Dr. Disrespect is tragically doing the right thing because it's just all going to blow over. The good news is that there will be a lot of people who knew and knows about what he did, but the bad news is that he'll always have fans and supporters. Something else we also need to consider is the everyday man. I'm sure that there are some people who like Dr. Disrespect and tune into his streams, but who aren't aware of what goes on outside of that. Like, not everybody has a Twitter, so if he's streaming on Twitch but not actively talking about this stuff, then where are you gonna find out that this is happening or that this has happened? So from a business standpoint, it's dark, but he'll probably be just fine after a while. From a moral standpoint, he's probably gonna get his karma, I hope. Originally I said he was gonna burn in hell, but hey, that's not my decision to make. He also hasn't had sex with a 17-year-old as far as we know, so maybe God will redeem his soul. Unlike someone else in this video, but we'll talk about that later. I also wanted to note, he mentions that nothing talked about with said minor online was ever going to manifest its way into real life, but what everybody keeps saying is that you generally shouldn't be having conversations with underage people. And it also has people questioning, well, how sexual did things get, or how out of pocket did they end up getting for it to completely warrant a ban? I'm sure it's one thing if a fan is like, hey, I love your stuff, and it just so happens to be that they're underage, and then you go to reply to them, thank you so much. I don't think somebody would get banned for just interacting with an underage person like that, you know? But it must have been bad and sexual enough if he just got completely banned. So we will see what happens from here, if more things come out, if we ever find out what was actually said in the Twitch Whispers chat, and I guess we'll also have to wait and see what happens with Dr. Disrespect's career. I also just want to say that I think it's pretty interesting, but I think it's a good thing. The narrative that's basically changed over time on the internet about just straight up not interacting with minors and younger audience members. I don't know about y'all, but I come from a time where on Tumblr you never said your age, although it was fucking obvious, and you were friends with 25-year-olds despite you being 14 or 15 years old or younger. And although it was fun and I mostly got lucky not interacting with potential pedophiles, that really is a recipe for disaster, and it genuinely sounds like it was a no man's land. And I mean, it was. Like, you just had to be there. I shouldn't have been on Tumblr anyways, but you get what I'm saying. And sharing my transformation with you as an artist with a platform, it was really normal back in the day to interact with and be friends with younger followers. From one standpoint of not initially knowing their age, but also because back in my day, it was something that was normal and something that I partook in. But the more that we've learned on the internet, and of course, the more that fucked up stories have gotten exposed, it literally got to a point where I became pretty conscious about the people following me. And I constantly made attempts to assure that it was mostly adults, especially because my art has such heavy themes. I think that gets a little subjective sometimes. Like, there's a bit of a gray area because we can't definitively control who follows us when we reach a certain point of numbers. But it is very important nonetheless to be wary and to have full knowledge of who we're having conversations with the second it goes past a high. It got to a point where I was like 22 and mutuals I had had for 5+ years years. Once I actually found out that they were younger than me, I was like, oh, I'm literally not interacting with you until you turn 18. And I don't care if that's in less than a year or 3 months, and it doesn't matter if my intentions are good. Unless you come to me literally about to jump off a cliff, I just cannot interact with you. It used to be hard for me because naturally coming from that no man's land on the internet and having older people mentor me through mental illness struggles and mania when I was 16 years old or younger, anytime I saw a younger mutual struggle, I would feel bad and like I wanted to talk to them and help, but it just got to a point where I was like, okay, hopefully God sends somebody their way. It's just not my business at the end of the day. That's what your school counselors and therapists are for. And I do think that kids need help and guidance, especially when you're a teenager and there are so many emotions that you're undergoing. But then you have freaks like Dr. Disrespect who could easily take advantage of you. And I think that's where the problem lies. So yeah, I just wanted to share my take on that. Next subject.
A room gets better when ImAllexx walks in. And
where's the room? In a fucking nuclear power plant?
I am feeling
in
that.
Chernobyl?
Look at how he drinks. His lip is extended like 50 meters down to the bottom of the glass. It's like fucking ape. It's Neanderthal drinking.
Can you speak any Chinese?
He can't even speak fucking English, so I don't know what the fuck he's on about. And I think it's because ImAllexx is not actually into men. I think he pretends to be so he can sell more LGBTQ fucking merch.
Where are you from? Where do you...
I am actually originally...
He's from a fucking river somewhere, alright? He was found at the bottom. They fucking fished him out, and here he is.
Last month, this was honestly the main thing that I wanted to talk about, and it's YouTuber ImAllexx. What's there to say about him? He's one of these soy boy bread tuber nice guys, a commentary channel with 300,000 subs, and I actually used to watch him back in college, but after one of the many dramas that he used to get himself involved with, I just started to get rubbed the wrong way and figured I could find my YouTube background contents from another creator. A lot of time has passed and it seems his channel's doing okay, but as you could see by the thumbnails, it also looks like a lot of virtue signaling and what I'm gonna call morality tubing. Well, he recently got exposed for being an abusive son of a bitch. Allegedly.
The thing, this is why I fucking go round and round in circles. I join cool, and when I'm getting, you're talking to me, going, this is the thing, even though now, when it's too fucking late, you admit that you did everything fucking wrong. But when it actually matters, when you should lay down like a good fucking dog, you don't fucking do it, you fight for some reason. I don't know why you fight, because you're losing, because you end up admitting that you fucked it all up anyway. So it's just fucking weird. And I know that you're going to end up admitting that you fucked it all up, which is why it's sorry first.
So I'm a fucking whore mouth bitch retard cunt.
Is it generally because you're just fucking brain dead?
Yeah, I'm very brain dead, yeah.
Is that why you decided to go on the fucking offensive instead of the, maybe...
Offensive.
Okay. I don't know what to call what you did. It was weird. It's always weird. You always take the fucking weird route. Just do the normal route, which is... Just do the normal route, but a normal girlfriend
You're
would do.
acting
and
like
go,
this is all just me, and that's something you really need to fucking fix.
I'm gonna fucking bash your fucking head against the wall with a brick if you don't shut the fuck up. Because this one, genuinely, this one, you fucked this, royally fucked this.
I'm sorry, but you have to be a different level of sociopath to know that the camera is on and recording your every word and movement, to then look into the camera several times and continue on camera berating your girlfriend and the person that you're supposed to love. When I saw this clip for the first time, I absolutely lost my mind, because not only are you a sociopath for your actions, you're an idiot, but not only are you a sociopath for your actions and an idiot for your negligence, but you're also a fucking narcissist, because you know here in this clip that he's just getting off on how disgusting and degrading that he's being toward his girlfriend. Like, you could see it in his face when he, like, looks into the camera and then, like, looks back at the screen. You're fucked. You're sick. You're sick. Baker act him. Put him in a cage.
This dude needs to be in a fucking cage. Put him in a cage!
And I want you to know that no normal human being does this. This is a very special kind of sick and twisted individual. And this clip specifically is mostly what struck me, and it's what I wanted to speak about, because it's just a whole different level of crazy. It feels like this guy generally needs to be put on a list, or we need to keep an eye out for him because it's just disturbing behavior. Well, the girl being berated in the clip is Alex's ex-girlfriend, and she created an 80-something page document exposing him for all of of the abuse. And again, I'll leave some links down below for you guys in case you want the full scoop on these videos. I know Turkey Tom covered this as per usual, shout out Turkey Tom, and I think Tehmimi might have covered this as well or is working on a video for it, and I really do like her videos as background content or for long form content, just something I can listen to while I'm doing something in the background. One more thing I wanted to say is that in a drama from way back in the day regarding a YouTuber called Slazo was, this is off script, so bear with me, but Slazo basically got accused of being an abusive boyfriend by his ex-girlfriend Hyojin. And ImAllexx was at the forefront of condemning Slazo for his abuse. He was one of the #1 motherfuckers who was sitting in front of his YouTube camera and sitting on his fucking Twitter account talking about how Slazo was a piece of shit and how he needed to be condemned for being abusive. And fast forward all these years later, and ImAllexx gets exposed for shit that was 10 times worse, because actually Slazo was basically relieved. In the fucking public's eyes, he was acquitted for all of the shit that he did. It was just a bunch of stuff that shouldn't have even been talked about, and it turns out it was a smear campaign by Hyojin and her friends. So ImAllexx, absolute piece of garbage, absolute fucking hypocrite, literally lick my balls, I don't know. Something else that I want to point out, I know I didn't cover this topic as much as some other topics that I cover in this video more in depth, which is mostly because of time constraints, and also this situation just feels so much bigger than me. But a lot of people are saying that everything's out of context, everything's out of context. And first of all, it's crazy that out of all people, we're defending ImAllexx. Like, look at him, he looks like a rat. But secondly, I can safely tell you that there's no justifiable reason for you to say that you're going to bash your girlfriend's head in, unless of course you're maybe making some sort of joke, which even then, if I was the girlfriend in question, I might raise a couple eyebrows, just pick up on some context clues and make sure that my partner is definitively joking. But yeah, I'm under the impression that there's no sane reason for you to speak to another human being that way, let alone your girlfriend of all people. You could see by the energy and the aura in this video, and also the way that the girlfriend is responding is in a way that is defeated. She's agreeing with him and yesing him to death, because at the end of the day, it seems like they've probably been arguing for hours, but he's not really into the idea of reasoning with her or listening to her or anything of the sort. And I've been in that position. When you're going circles and circles with a person who is abusive, apparently you reach a point of fatigue, realizing that there is no point in continuing to argue with this person or to at least even get your point across. It's something dark that honestly triggered a bunch of old memories from the past, but I remembered them nonetheless, and I remembered this kind of fatigue that she seems to be experiencing here in this clip. Now, of course, I'm speculating a little bit, but my point at the end of the day is that there is no justifiable reason for you to speak to another human being this way. Unless, for whatever reason, I guess, they're threatening your life first, or, like I mentioned earlier, unless it's in a joking manner. From the way that the girlfriend doesn't say anything violent to him at any point from this small clip of the conversation, to this crazy movement of him uncontrollably flailing his arms around like he actually wants to do something, like he actually wants to hurt her. Yeah, I just don't buy that this is out of context, or in the very least that he's acting this way and it's for a good reason. You don't act this way as a grown-ass man to your girlfriend under any circumstances. Maybe, I guess, if she's doing it first, but even then, my ideology is that a grown and evolved person walks away from situations like this. But yeah, that's it. The next thing we're going to talk about is a pretty big one, arguably one of the biggest ones, but then again, a lot happened this month. So this has a lot of names in the mix. Cody Ko is a commentary YouTuber, similarly to ImAllexx. He's one of those YouTube nice guys with 6 million subs who's very subtle. Through the context of his videos, he tells you that he is a nice guy, a well-respected man who treats women right and who has done nothing wrong. And he's also been pretty squeaky clean throughout his entire career. Up until very recently, a lot of people even dubbed him the golden boy of YouTube. Well, allegedly, and according to Tana Mojo, a rumor that has been floating around in the background finally came to the forefront of everybody's attention when Tana recently said that Cody Ko had sex with her when she was 17 and he was 25.
Who's the smallest dick you've ever had sex with? Oh my god, no one look at me, Cody Ko. I can say that, I was literally 17, I can say that. What?
Now, there are several moving parts here and several different reasons as to why people are very upset with this. First, this is disturbing news altogether. And secondly, what I noticed is a big point of discussion is the fact that this feels like a bit of an open secret in the commentary community. Something that a lot of people in this community must have known about for a while now, but also something that just wasn't addressed or spoken about until extremely recently, as a month ago, a clip started floating around, and well, it hasn't been looking good for Cody.
And however, I understand that this isn't just some crazy tea. It was a crime.
Yeah.
And I've tried to talk about this a million times, and I feel like I never have the right words. I hooked up with Cody Ko when I was 17 and he was 25. Yeah, it happened. There was a situation with Gabby Hanna at a Playlist Live where she pulled him aside and told him like, yo, she's 17, and then we still went and hooked up.
The story is that after a YouTube event, Cody Ko and Tana had been making out for the entire night. At apparently some point, Cody was made aware of Tana's age, as he was 25 years old and she was 17. But he still went out of his way to take her home and have sex with her. So Tana says this during her live show, and while you could imagine for all hell to break loose the next day, nothing big really came out of it. But outside of that, nobody said a word until D'Angelo Wallace comes in on the 14th of July, making a short, comprehensive video directed at Cody Ko to say something about these allegations. Now, from the internet's eyes and in the background, I think there are a couple of reasons as to why people did not want to pay attention to this in the first place. And one of them is the fact that people do not like Tana Mojo.
He fucked me with a toothbrush. He fucked me with a toothbrush. You're a piece of shit in first class. You're a cunt. You're a cunt. You're a cunt. You're a cunt. Fight me, bitch. Hit me, bitch.
She's been involved in a number of controversies in the past, and me being a hardcore iDubbbz fan back in the day, I didn't really like her either. But even before this Cody Ko situation, my dislike for her turned into respect after watching her grow over the last 5 to 6 years, following the iDubbbz situation, and also just respecting her for her prominence in the YouTube sphere. Because even if I wasn't a big fan of her, she was definitely doing something right over the last few years to continue to retain and have such a big name in the sphere despite past troubles and controversies. Furthermore, whenever I'm scrolling on TikTok and see a clip including her, I always kind of thought to myself like, wow, she seems like she's grown a lot. Like, she actually sounds like a pretty intelligent person.
I'm not talking about anything in regards of the things he said, but I'm more so just talking about like his actions to me. Like, you know, him showing up to my show, him kind of putting me on blast, him inevitably making me kind of canceled and lose subscribers and have to apologize and all that type of stuff. I kind of think I like deserved that. And maybe that's like dark, like to say, but like, I don't feel like I'm owed an apology. And maybe that's because I've accepted it so much that like people always ask me if you could go back in time and like make that never happen, like would you? And I always say no.
While other people might not think so much of Tana, it is evident that she has grown. And I'm a huge advocate and believer in the fact that people can grow and change. You just have to let them, and they just have to want to. But a lot of people are downplaying what she went through with Cody because of the fact that she may have lied in the past and because of whatever controversy she may have been involved with before. And fine, maybe you could think that Tana is a liar based on the past. But then, what would you say if a completely different and seemingly random character corroborated and witnessed the story of Tana and Cody Ko? In a clip that has been borderline impossible to find on the internet, according to D'Angelo Wallace, Gabby Hanna, of all people, without saying names, basically testified as a witness to this story, years before anybody even said a word about it. And this is where shit got real for everyone.
The guy, I saw him making out with a girl at a party who was underage, and I pulled him aside and I was like, hey man, you probably don't know, I know she like looks a little older, she's underage, watch it. And he's like, oh my God, thank you for telling me. And then he turned that.
Two things about this clip. Number one is it's not funny, but it's also kind of funny the way that like her impression actually sounds like Cody Ko. Like, I don't know how how exactly to describe that, but it literally sounds, and I can picture like Cody Ko saying it exactly like that. And again, all of this is alleged. People in the comments are like, how old is this clip? Or maybe it's out of context. Maybe it's not the same thing, even though it all adds up in a way. And something else that we need to talk about is the fact that in Tehmimi's recent video, which I will be linking down below, she also mentions that Gabby Hanna apparently tried to sell this story. But I don't think that there's like hard proof on that. And if there is, damn, every single time I try to give Gabby Hanna the benefit of the doubt, she makes it so hard for me. Like, please, girly, please, I'm begging you. Again, I'll be linking that video down below for you guys to check it out. I do have to state that even though everything is alleged for legal purposes, I do not think Tana is lying. I don't think she was when she was at her live event, but I especially don't think so when I saw the Gabby Hanna clip, and when I saw it, my jaw actually hit the floor. Originally, there were a lot of people trying to defend Cody Ko, however, things have definitely changed a bit, and you see similar sentiments of people saying that although they did not like Tana or don't like her, she didn't deserve what happened to her at such a young age, and that it's completely disgusting that Cody has gotten away with this, and has also gotten so far in his career without addressing it at any point. I think what bugs me out about this is the fact that Tana said Cody reached out to her when the rumor began to arise, asking her if they were still friends or if everything was okay between each other.
Just think about like Kelsey and the baby and whatever. There was, oh my God. Like there was a while ago where I think I said something about it online and it was starting to surface, and he texted me like, are we good? And was like, I said, yeah. And like, he was like, my wedding's coming up, like yada, yada, yada. And I was like,
Given how unforgivable and disgusting his actions were, it seems as though he started to freak out a little bit. But with a month passing and with things dying down, it seems like he thought he could just get away with things. And again, without needing to address them. I think something that's really frustrating about this current situation is how genuinely insane it is. I'm 25 years old currently, I turned 26 in a month, and I could not even fucking fathom having sex with a 17-year-old, let alone even talking to one. Usually when it comes to dating, my mantra is, if we can't even legally go out and get a drink together, I'm not gonna waste my time speaking to you. And even then, when you're 21, that frontal lobe is still cooking. So even if we could objectively have fun and get dinner and a couple of drinks, there would really be nothing else conducive coming out of that relationship, in my opinion. And this is coming from somebody who was reasonably like somewhat mature at the age of 21. More mature than people my age. In the very least, it would still be a shit show because as a young adult, you still have a lot of processing and learning to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I wouldn't date me when I was 21. Even though I was a mature 21-year-old, I still wouldn't have dated me back then. I wouldn't have even dated me when I was 22 or 23 because of how much more I had to learn and go through. So why the fuck would I even go near somebody who's 17? Unless you're literally a family member, why the fuck would I be having any conversation with you? Furthermore, this happened 10 years ago. Not even 15 or not even 20. And not that that would be okay, but just that as dark as it was more normalized in the past for people with such big age differences to get together. It was illegal and it's been illegal for a while, but I feel like it was more normalized in our culture. And so it's not to excuse that that might have happened 20 years ago, but just to shed some light on why an adult thought they could have gotten away with it. No, bro, this shit happened in 2014, and I'm sorry, but in 2014, you genuinely should have fucking known better. 17 and 25. Not only is that almost a 10-year difference, but she was underage. I can't even fit it into my head. I also had an Instagram friend the other day who asked me what I thought about this whole situation, but he was very angry with how little people have said anything and how this has probably been an open secret for a while, and I have several things to say about that. Number one is that humans and people are just self-absorbed, and it really isn't often that they are paying attention as intensely as you think they might, unless they are already an inquisitive person. Common sense is a common, and we don't got a lot of people who are aware of their surroundings and their brain. Great example, when I was getting brutally abused in high school, nobody had any idea about it. Meanwhile, this motherfucker was outside the front of the school grounds manhandling me, telling me to scream rape if I really wanted to get out of the grasps of his hands, etc., etc. I thought some people might have known. For whatever reason, in my head, I thought people picked up on the signs, but nobody knew to the point where I distanced myself and alienated myself from basically everybody, friends, acquaintances alike, out of fear, also so that I wouldn't have to be in the same groups as my ex-boyfriend. 10 years later, I'm now remaking connections with friends that I lost contact with in high school, and they still have no idea until I tell them in recent times that the reason I dropped off the face of the earth was because I was in an extremely abusive relationship with a guy that we were in school with, a guy that we graduated with. So that's my first point, is that nobody really knows until you let them know. My second point is that it's nobody's story outside of Tana's to share. Even if this was something that was probably known known in a couple parts of the commentary community, I definitely understand the struggle of maybe feeling like it's not your place to blow the lid off of a situation this heavy. I know right now that if one of my friends exposed the name and the situation of any of the times that I was sexually assaulted, I would feel some type of way. Inevitably, I would probably feel a little bit of thankfulness because I know that it would have been out of good intention and a place of love and concern for me. But at the same time, the only reason I don't say anything with too much details about my abuse is because I still need some fucking time to process. And if that's something that I start to talk about publicly and intensely and in full detail, I would want it on my terms, and then we could use that as a place for other people to come together. And this is a tough one. It's something that I think about a lot. Sometimes I feel like by not getting on the soapbox and talking about who terrorized me, I feel complicit, or like these guys who sexually assaulted me can go and do it again to another girl, especially because I didn't say anything or I didn't warn anybody. On the flip side, I honestly could tell you I'm really not mentally stable enough to handle the fallout of exposing somebody like that. That would be a lot for me at this point where life and everything is already so much for me. Like, there's already a billion other things going on. So it's a catch-22. In a lot of ways, I can protect myself, my own mental well-being, by not talking publicly about what happened to me and who it happened with. On the downside, most times when I think about what has happened to me, I find myself anxious and sitting down to say a prayer, hoping that this local doesn't do it to another person who thought that they could trust these men. All that to say, maybe this entire time, Tana didn't go public with this because she was trying to preserve herself and her own peace. And as a victim, who could we possibly be to tell her whether that's the right or wrong thing to do? And on top of that, it's her story to tell, so why would we make it ours? And I'm saying that in the voices of the commentary community, talking before her, people who may have known this, you know, it's not really anybody else's place. Just a couple more things to add. I'll definitely say that warning signs maybe could have been dropped by people if people did know, because right now we've been talking hypotheticals a little bit. For example, Gabby Hanna brought this situation up, but she didn't use names and say who it was with. You could argue that by doing this, she was protecting Cody's identity, but I don't think that was it at all. As a matter of fact, she sounds so distressed in the video. It's human nature to have a fear or feel like you can't expose something that didn't happen to you, and also something with such big names. And also maybe another hypothetical, we could say that somebody should have said something at some point, in the very least, that Cody Ko is a freak and a weirdo. Well, okay, what would have come after that? How do you know? What do you mean? How do you know he's a freak? What did he do? What proof do you have? What do you mean? Okay, it all goes back to fear and pressure. A lot of people have fear, and not everybody can handle that kind of pressure. Being asked how they know this information, having to bear the weight of keeping a secret so big, while not even being sure that the victim involved would want people to know about this generally. I'm done talking about hypotheticals. The only reason I'm asking these questions and saying these things is because, number one, my friend asked me what I was curious about these people who are seemingly complicit or have been silent. And also, as a victim of sexual assault, these are things that I actually just think about pretty frequently. But we also have to acknowledge that even though people on YouTube collaborate with each other, it doesn't mean that they're friends. It doesn't mean that they're besties, texting each other, checking in every other day, and grabbing beers on the weekends. And while that does happen, friendships do come from YouTube, there is so much that you can omit even still in a friendship. Prime example was the Mama Max situation, which is something I talked about pretty extensively in my first recap video. Mama Max was friends with Mutahar, and Mutahar was always under the impression that they were closer than they actually were. But Muta, as close as he thought he was to Max, had to find out with everybody else that Max was a grifter and a complete fucking weirdo, even though they were friends and had the occasional brewski. And even during the ImAllexx situation, seemingly longtime friend of Alex's channel, iNabber, came out to speak on things and told us that he literally had not a single fucking clue that Alex was abusive. Just because you see somebody once in a while for an event or to collaborate, just because you guys talk in the Discord group chat every day or every other day, doesn't mean that these people are besties and know everything about each other. Something else, something that I just want to say randomly, is that a sane person who is socially aware and considerate of their surroundings, well, we just don't bring up sexual assault at the dinner table or during any occasion as a silly, funny topic to have. As well, and in the same way, that a shameful person isn't going to bring up the crimes and sins that they've committed to somebody who admires them or enjoys spending time with them. I said this recently the other day because I was talking to a very close friend about my sexual assault, but bad people don't talk about the bad things they do. They know better. So it's almost like all that pressure gets put onto the victim and everybody else to say something, and that is not always an easy thing to tackle or to say. Last couple things to touch on is the fact that apparently something that not only D'Angelo Wallace's video covered, but also Turkey Tom did a month earlier, was the fact that Cody has also been friends with somebody who is, I don't know if they're registered sex offender, but allegedly a sex offender. But this guy has been in Cody's previous videos, along with going to his wedding and overall being very close within proximity of his life. D'Angelo and Tom talk about this in their videos. Apparently this girl was recorded while they did things to her.
Back in 2011, a case was dismissed by a federal judge in a lawsuit against Duke University that was filed by a former student who will remain anonymous in this video. This was after allegations were made against Colby Leachman and another person named Brian Selford and RIPing her and at least one other woman, while also allegedly recording it and allegedly sharing it to others, and while allegedly lying to the police about it. And these allegations were mentioned in court documents. Now, it is important to note that this lawsuit was against the university, not Colby and Brian directly. The lawsuit itself was not to simply confirm or deny the accusations, but to determine whether the school itself responded with negligence, at least from what I understand reading articles and information regarding this lawsuit. That being said, despite the lawsuit being dismissed, Colby Leachman was put on probation after, quote-unquote, entering a plea of responsibility. In other words, what I understand to be an admission of guilt. Now, obviously, this is a reprehensible thing and actually very infuriating that more wasn't done in this situation. After pleading responsibility, all this man got was probation from the school.
The final update to the story is the fact that we haven't heard anything from Cody Ko himself. However, he has been, in fact, DJing and partying in the middle of Vegas.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I also heard, and I'm sorry, I'm still sick like a dog, so, okay, two things. H3H3 covered this. Apparently, when he was, like, in his earlier 20s and in the Vine days, there's a video of him giving a kiss to a girl who also was underage at the time, and they actually were in a relationship for a certain point.
He's seen kissing another teenage girl, 17, when he was 24, 25. In fact, I think they were dating even. And the crazy part is he posted this to his own fucking Vine. More proof Cody Ko dated a 17-year-old when he was 24. I censored their Instagram handles and Facebook because these girls are not public figures and are victims. They were teenagers. I'm posting this here because we also need public evidence of Cody's predatory past available. The girl on his shoulders is the girl he was dating from Vine, where he was seen kissing her, which I'm going to show you guys next. She was 19 on Instagram, post dated May 24th, 2016. She would have been 17 on April 13th, 2015 when this was posted. Vine was made on July 27th, 2015. This means Cody had been with her exhibiting dating type behavior publicly for 4 months. Who knows how long prior? She was still 17. I have to emphasize, he was 24, about to turn 25. So this is a demonstration of a pattern of behavior for sure, right? Or she's 17 or she's 18?
This was re-upped July 27th, 2015. She turned 18 at the end of May 2015. So this was either taken right before or right after.
Okay, and this was the girl, though, that was on his shoulders when she was 17. Yeah. So here it is.
Oh, it didn't work.
Kinda.
Fuck. Damn it.
So this was posted to his Vine account.
To his Vine, yeah.
Which again is like, how long ago was this? What,
10
years ago?
2015.
2015, 9 years ago.
9 years ago? Was it really that different 9 years ago where you could post yourself kissing a minor?
And then I also heard that he did kind of make a statement, but that it was just basically like a nothing burger. Like that he just kind of mentioned that he got dropped by his production company or some shit. And here we have the response from TMG Studios, which stands for Tiny Meat Gang. I know, very classy, but this was basically, I think, the company that Cody Ko had with this other guy, Noel, which if you're familiar with all these, you know, Vine, YouTube guys, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But let's just go through this really quick and read it together while we're here. This morning, we shared the note below with the employees of TMG Studios. We wanted to share it with you as well. Our shows will resume in the coming weeks. Thank you for your support. Hi everyone, we want to start by thanking you all for your patience while we were working to figure out the best path forward for the studio. We know it's been a very strenuous few weeks for everyone, and we really appreciate your willingness to bear with us. You are the most creative and incredible group of people. We feel so lucky to work with all of you. TMG Studios is what it is because of you. We couldn't be more proud of the incredible roster of talent we've been privileged to work with and everything we've accomplished together. As we enter into this new phase of the studio, we wanted to let you know that Cody will not be involved in the day-to-day operations at TMG Studios. What has transpired over the past few weeks is a personal issue for him. Cody wants to remove any effect this is having on your professional and personal lives and the work you and our other hosts have done to make TMG Studios so successful. Noel will continue to lead the team. His top priority remains the life and growth of the studio and its talent. Our audience sees your hard work every week and we want to continue that. They deserve it and so do you. We have built something truly special and he's committed to keeping that alive and well. Sincerely, Cody and Noel. And I think it's a bit of a strange response. It does feel very loose and it still doesn't mean that we've heard anything directly from Cody Ko himself, which at this point, because of how little he's talked about it through the passing years, not just during this situation, I doubt that he's going to say anything at this point. And so yeah, this is a very strange and fucked up situation to say the least, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. There's also one more thing that I wanted to say about Tana Mongeau, and it's in regards to growth, but how I mentioned earlier that seeing her speak in more recent times had made me think, oh wow, she sounds like a decent, intelligent person, has honestly just reminded me that I would not be surprised at all if all of her problems and her outrageousness from the past was just a result of years of trauma and mental illness and mania. And I know you're like, Elle, stop throwing these buzzwords at me, but me being a person who comes from a very tumultuous and chaotic past, I definitely identify with that sentiment. For example, the way that you guys see me now in my videos and in real life, the way that people see and interact with me is a vastly different and so much more evolved person than who I was in my late teens and early 20s. Back in those days, mental illness and mania quite literally ruled my life. There are so many situations that I got myself into, so many visits that I was paying to the mental hospital, and so many times that I got myself into a serious amount of trouble because I couldn't keep my mouth shut, or because I didn't know what I was talking about, or I didn't know how to properly articulate when I was upset with something. So I would quite literally go off the fucking rails. And so there's a lot of times where I live my life now and I'm shocked about the past that I've had because of how calm things are, because of the juxtaposition of how crazy and fucked up shit used to be and how crazy and fucked up I used to be versus the growth that I made and the person that I am today. And so again, whenever I see Tana speaking now, I feel like I've grown with her, and I think actually we're the same age, or when I turn 26 in a month, we'll be the same age for a little bit. But yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to say that, maybe there was a reason that I started to feel like I related to her every time I would see her in these newer clips, or maybe there was a reason that I had such strong, profound respect for her, even though I wasn't really consuming her content. I just felt it in my jellies, you know what the fuck I'm saying? So yeah, I think I definitely relate to her in that. And when this drama first broke and we see these clips of her talking about her situation with Cody, my first thought was, Tana Mongeau's not stupid. She's so far from stupid, and I'm sure that it's always been that way, but I'm also sure that her past has been clouded by, those tumultuous emotions and what comes with coping from a life of pain and trauma. And so yeah, I just wanted to say that real quick before we move on to the next thing. Although I feel as though I actively try to stay out of political drama, this stuff is pretty big, and so I'll touch it briefly. There was an assassination attempt on Trump, and I'm sure you've heard about it. I'm also sure you've heard about it from more reputable people. I'm split about the whole ordeal. I think there are a bunch of other things that you can do to make a stance that don't involve killing somebody or hurting people. I think you can be radical and want to do what's right without killing and hurting people. Like, people are so interested in being fucking radical, but it's like, when are we fucking planning our fucking statewide work walkout so that capitalists can really see how much they fucking need us and decide to start paying us more for the hard work that we fucking do? And every time I bring that up, a fucking motherfucker that I'm with is like, well, you can walk out, I need the money. You're part of the problem. I don't care how fucking illogical it sounds. We need to strike them at the balls. We need to get them at the source. I did go on a tangent after getting upset, and you can pause to read if you're interested. Also, like, why don't we just do shit that's more accessible? Like, why can't we fucking... Let me stop. Never mind. Forget it. I'm just really tired of people straight up not using their brains and not living in reality. But since we're on that topic, President Joe Biden steps out of the presidential race. Thank God his handler finally decided to stop humiliating him. Once again, found myself somewhat irrationally upset very recently after reading the comments on his post of people applauding him and claiming that he was a great president. And my upset came from the fact that he's been a vegetable the entire time he's been in office. Once again, there's no way you could be that fucking delusional. You aren't living in reality if you have the audacity to say that he was a great president when he did nothing other than be a vegetable. Was he great when he continued funding the genocide and killing thousands of innocent babies and children? Was he a good president when we were promised that our student loans would be waived due to the pandemic, only for us to get a letter that essentially told us to go fuck ourselves? Was he a good president when rent and grocery prices continued to skyrocket and became less and less affordable to the average American? Is he a good president when you hear things like 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck? I made a very long, angry rant about this on TikTok pretty recently. You can go watch the video in full if you want my complete frustrations and thoughts. But the final thing I will say is that I make those comparisons with the full awareness that we will probably never have a perfect president or a president who fixes all of these problems when you go into office. But when a president goes into office and things get worse, I think it's safe to say that you weren't a good president. I think it's safe to say that you didn't do shit, dick, or piss for anybody, and anybody who disagrees actually has piss for brains. I'm sorry, that's all I could possibly say on the topic, and I don't have the answer. I don't have a fucking resolve, but all I'm just saying is that he was a vegetable, and, you know, if you think that he did good, you're fucking wrong. I'm also pretty upset about people just not having a backbone, generally speaking, and what I mean by that is the fact that everybody was excited for Kamala Harris to step in and run for president, and it was annoying because I've seen videos of her supporting Israel. I've seen videos of her actively saying that she will support the state of Israel.
A young girl collecting funds to plant trees for Israel. To my time in the United States Senate and now at the White House, I have had an unwavering commitment to the existence of the state of Israel, to its security, and to the people of Israel. I've said it many times, but it bears repeating. Israel has a right to defend itself.
And you guys piss me the fuck off because you're the same people who have been saying free Palestine, while now, months later, you're saying Kamala for president. And all I can say about that is that y'all don't have a fucking backbone, and that shit pisses me the fuck off. To give anybody the benefit of the doubt, to give any one of you no backbone having eel looking motherfuckers the benefit of the doubt. It's come out either today or yesterday that Kamala is finally saying that there will possibly be a ceasefire that has been put down by the help of Joe Biden, even though he doesn't even know where the fuck he's at. Yeah, allegedly they're trying for a ceasefire. Allegedly that's something that is going to happen, but all I could say is that I'll believe it when I see it, and I will try to be hopeful about that. That's enough of this topic. I'm not political. I don't want to talk about it, but I'm angry. I'm angry. You piss me off. You people piss me off. I love little girls, they make Mr. Beast, the second biggest channel on YouTube, and it's had that title for a very long time now. Ava Kris Tyson is a 28-year-old trans girl who is one of Mr. Beast's right-hand women and who has been for a very long time, as they were roommates at some point in their younger days, as well as being friends before that. Well, we have some new allegations to cover, and it's not looking good.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
It seems as though ever since Ava Kris Tyson has come out of the closet as trans, the MrBeast channel cannot catch a break, as people, of course, and per usual, have been split as to whether or not it's okay for Ava Kris Tyson to be trans or not. And before we get into anything, I want to emphasize that being trans has nothing to do with whether you're a degenerate or not. There are degenerates everywhere and in every community that you'll come across in your lifetime, but a person's identity is never a testament of that. Of course, unless they say that they're a zoophile or some fucking crazy shit like that. With that being said, it's come out that Ava Kris used to very openly support none other than the infamous artist known as Shadman. And if you don't know Shadman, well, let me take you on a trip down memory lane. Shadman was a Rule 34 artist that blew up in popularity due to the sexual themes of his artwork and the edge of it all. One of the most controversial aspects of his art was the fact that he drew lolly, which I think I actually mentioned in the first recap video, but lolly is just depictions of younger people in sexually precarious positions. It's basically child. There's no nice way to put it. And the reason that people get away with it is because it's an artistic depiction. It's not reality. Well, although the lolly wasn't the main focus of his pieces and his artwork altogether, it still was prevalent in his work. Things really took a turn for the worst, however, when one of Shadman's biggest controversies was the fact that he began drawing real-life children in sexually precarious settings and situations. One of the incidents included Lieutenant Corbis, a YouTuber who was 12 at the time, and another one including none other than the 7-year-old daughter of Keemstar, a YouTuber who's running a drama channel for the last 10 plus years now, and he's a pretty big name in the scene whether you like him or not. And I'm just remembering this because I think Shadman posted, like, if this gets X amount of likes, I'll draw Keemstar's daughter. And I think Ava was like, come on, do it. And it got X amount of likes for, I don't know. I'm gonna find the screenshot for you guys. Also, here's the screenshot first of all, but I've been looking literally for the last 40 minutes for all the screenshots of all the things that I'm talking about, and of course, coincidentally, I can't fucking find them anywhere, but if you are interested again in watching the videos down below, I'm sure that in there you'll find exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, because I'm definitely not making this shit up. You will be finding a lot more proof in those videos, but right now I'm on borrowed time, and I can't find them, so whatever I have in the video is what's gonna have to do for you guys. Whether or not this can be confirmed for you at the moment that Ava Kris had a complete and direct hand in this drawing, something that can be confirmed for you is the general fact that Ava Kris Tyson was a huge fan of Shadman. On top of commissioning them being in the mix, they interacted with each other regularly on Twitter, and Ava even had his artwork hung up on her wall at some point back in the day. There are some other things that are alleged regarding Ava Kris also being in communication with a 14-year-old, and although this isn't something that I can see was romantic, things got blurred and inappropriate at certain points, and people's concern is that he shouldn't have been talking to somebody at such a young age regardless. So I won't be talking in great deal about those things, but you can hear more about it in Mutahar's video, which I will be linking down below. To make matters worse, the tweets that were found on Ava Kris Tyson's Twitter account are generally disturbing and more than once involve inappropriate behavior or language towards characters that are underage. One of two examples being him calling Violet from The Incredibles cute, and in reference to the Gravity Falls characters Dipper and Mabel Pines, he said that if they have sex, it's basically just masturbation since they're twins. And of course, there are more fucked up inexcusable tweets. Since all of this has come to light, Ava Kris has officially been dropped from MrBeast and has recently issued an apology, although it seriously isn't much of one anyways. Now that you've essentially been filled in though, there's a lot we need to talk about. So this artist, this lolicon artist Shadman, was one that was really popular back in the day. And in the way that I keep describing things, this was basically an open secret. To the point where there is a thread on Twitter currently that literally documents popular YouTubers interacting with Shadman or using his artwork and YouTube videos, etc. I also used to look at Shadman's artwork back in the day. I don't think I ever followed him, but this was between the ages of 16 and 19. I can't tell you exactly when, but I know that that was the time period. Like I mentioned previously, his lolly artwork wasn't his biggest or main form of artwork, and part of me feels like that's why people just kind of let him slip through the cracks for a while. Unfortunately, this was pre-frontal lobe development for me, and I did think that his artwork was good from a technical standpoint. And I also thought that some of his drawings and his stuff was funny. And by that I mean he had a lot of Overwatch drawings. He would make these comments with like various cartoon characters. So yeah. I can safely tell you though that the second I heard or saw about the Keemstar or Lieutenant Corvus drawings, I shut that shit the fuck down. Like I mentioned, I don't think I was following him from the get, but from that point on, I didn't want to be involved in such a mess and in something so dark. It wasn't funny anymore. So I began to just try to distance myself, ignore his artwork anytime I saw it, just generally not look at it every time it popped up on my feed. As at this point, I thought that there was no way that you could excuse making art like that. Even in my younger brain, it did have that dark ass energy to it. And if he ever popped up in my life, I would just get genuine goosebumps at how gross he was, or I would just roll my eyes and just try to cover them and scroll past because I didn't know what I was gonna get. And at the end of the day, no matter which way you slice it, if you draw something like that, you're definitely missing a couple of screws. People who are into lolly tend to excuse it because, like I mentioned previously, it's not technically legal, but it still is extremely disgusting, and in a lot of ways, I feel like it's just a loophole for these sick fucks to get away with portraying their fantasies or bastardizing the innocence of children. I digress though. All that background to say that a lot of people followed him and were aware of him and excused his artwork under the guise of it being edgy. And it's not an excuse, it wasn't back then and it isn't now, but it's just to give you some understanding on the culture back then. In terms of popularity, I think Shadman just lucked out. And even if he was always sick, he was really good at riding the wave of whatever was popular or being talked about at the time, or just making a drawing of whatever was the biggest meme in the moment. And considering the fact that the lolly degenerate artwork overall took a back seat, I think a lot of people ignored what he was doing out in the open all along. Finally, I can safely tell you that it's one thing to observe this artwork, to send it to your friends back in the day, to have a chuckle at it, at least everything outside of the lolly stuff, more of the light-hearted stuff, versus actively following this artist, speaking to them on multiple occasions, going as far as to commission them personally for artwork, and hanging their stuff up on your wall. It's safe to say Ava Kris Tyson took this to a whole nother level, and this, amongst other things that I mentioned to you earlier, have come to light. Something else I wanted to mention was that back in the day when Jeanette McCurdy's nudes got released, there was a video of him literally sharing her revenge porn.
Sam and Kat, and so first off, what you'll probably be seeing is the pulling of the show. It'll probably be taken off the air. Second off, you'll probably see the photos get taken down at some point tonight, maybe tomorrow, because Nickelodeon has that kind of power. But the link's in the description if you want to see them. I mean, I'm not endorsing people to go look at somebody else's private business, but I know that, you know, people might want to see them, so it's there if you want it.
The video was wild. It's especially interesting the way he says, I don't advocate for this kind of stuff, but people are gonna look anyway, so here's a link down below if you want it. Like, bro, you are part of the problem. Do you not realize that? So whatever. Since writing the script, there are so many more things that have come out regarding Ava Kris Tyson, but a lot of it is a nothing sandwich, and people are just trying to jump on the bandwagon of bringing Ava Kris down, which I don't think is not justified, and I also don't fuck with Ava Kris Tyson. I also feel like an idiot because I talked about her in my first thing, and my point still stands about what I was saying about that topic, but I really did try to give her the benefit of the doubt in terms of like transitioning and stuff, and how some people don't do it because they want to leave their family or be destructive. They just do it because like they never got a chance, and you know, it's something repressed. But every day it seems more and more like maybe the divorce came out because Ava Kris has just been a fucking degenerate all along, and this was something that the wife was aware of, or maybe it caught up to her, or maybe it just wasn't working out. So whatever. I don't advocate for any of that. And I don't fuck with Ava Kris Tyson, but a lot of things are coming out that just need more proof or just are nothing. So I'm just gonna wait until things are less jumbled, and maybe for the next recap we will have some actual more solid evidence proving furthermore that Ava is overall a degenerate, and much more than what we've already found out today. Before we move on to the end of this video, I just want to state that I definitely didn't share any of Shadman's drawings, and I won't be doing so. I think that the saddest thing about all of this was I went on Twitter to see if I could find like the tweets and see if his account was still there, because last I heard he was in jail for assault with a weapon. And eventually I did find an account. It's a little hidden, but what's most disturbing is the fact that this guy is still fucking successful and he's still making artwork and it still gets hundreds and thousands of fucking likes and retweets, and he still has almost 1 million fucking followers. And it's just disturbing because it goes back to what I was saying, like, full fucking circle at the beginning of the video. The tragedy is that if somebody doesn't leave the internet, if they're not legally obligated to leave the internet, or if they're not in fucking jail, they're just gonna keep on going with their bullshit and they're gonna continue to profit off of it. There wasn't a single excuse back then for the artwork that Shadman made, and there never will be. It never will be okay. The fact that so many people were aware of him and pushed him was not okay. And even from like my standpoint, I was a kid, and for a little bit, not really being aware of the full extent of what this guy made, there were people who I followed who promoted and posted his shit, and they made it like it was okay. So it's just frustrating to see that all of these years has past and it continues to be something that's just out in the fucking open. And back to what I was talking about earlier, like your everyday man, at the end of the day, this guy draws not safe for work artwork, and I don't know if he dips into the lolly stuff anymore, but he did, and he should be fucking reprimanded and looked down on for that. The people who have no idea just follow blissfully, and then there are people who have had an idea or do know what he did but still continue to follow him, and it just sucks, dude. It just sucks. There's really no positive to the end of that situation. And this is where I come in with my fucking whatever morality preaching. But at the end of the day, even though shit like that really does suck, he'll get his. You know what I'm saying? And also, even if we don't fuck with Keemstar, see, that's another thing that's crazy. A lot of people didn't fuck with Keemstar, and so when Shadman drew what he did of his daughter, a lot of people dismissed it or straight up excused it, or were like, oh, fuck Keemstar, who gives a shit? LOL, he deserves it. No man deserves that. I'm sorry. No man deserves to have artwork drawn of their daughter in a strange or explicit manner, even if it's simply alluding to that manner. And so it was really kind of great to see when all of this stuff broke. You see Keemstar's tweets and he's like, the guy who drew my daughter several years ago is finally being brought to justice, or people are finally realizing that he drew something so deplorable, and I knew that this day would come. And even though, again, I don't fuck with Keemstar, I have my own history with Keemstar, surprisingly. Maybe we'll talk about it another day, but that made me a little bit emotional because I could imagine he probably felt like he was in the psych ward back in the day when he got that fucked up artwork drawn of his daughter, and people were just like, oh, whatever, or people were out here still following Shadman, or people were out here still supporting Shadman. Like, I can't even imagine what it feels like to be in his shoes and to be in that position. But that's all I have to say about that whole situation. I'm gonna leave many links, and since starting this video, I swear, bro, there have been like 5 or 6 videos by all of my favorite YouTubers that have dropped on this situation with more proof and more evidence of just how fucked up and deplorable this Ava Kris Tyson person truly is. So we will talk about that and get into that the next time we have a recap. I know that things are always very jumbled with these videos, and don't mind how fucked up my face looks. Summer allergies are really kicking my ass this year. But there's one more thing that I do feel the need that we should talk about before I end this video, and I literally was just sitting here pondering, like, should we just save it for the next video? No, let's just talk about it now. It's not very long, and I'm going off the top of my head, so pray for me. The first thing, well, in general, it's the Olympics. I want to mention 2 things in the Olympics, and I have a little rant later on about the whole Last Supper debacle and the opening ceremony that they had. But before that, I want to talk about this thing going on with this boxer Iman Khelif. I hope that I'm pronouncing that the right way. But what basically happened was that this boxer, this woman, knocked out her opponent in like 7 seconds or some shit. And for whatever reason, gigantic people such as Elon Musk and J.K. Rowling had the audacity to call her a man. They're saying that she's trans. They straight up called her a man. There was no speculation. There was no I think. They straight up called Iman a man because of, I suppose, how she looks, because of her physical stature. And so this narrative was pushed that this person was trans. Of course, the hot topic in society is whether trans people should be allowed to participate in sports with non-trans people. So in this case, what the argument was that Imaine was a trans person and a man knocking out the opponent who was a woman. And the fact that we have the audacity as a society to allow for a man to knock a woman out in the ring, even though of course we're all against domestic abuse. But all of that was a lie. I don't know where this came from in the first place. I don't know who came up with this shit. But it's been pretty frustrating. And so some interesting things that I want to note is that I saw this all over online. I had a friend who was posting about it, and I said, you know, I do agree. I do think that there needs to be a better way that we approach trans women in sports, considering the fact that, I'm sorry, like, men biologically, for the most part, just tend to be stronger than women. That's not good. Like, there are going to obviously be things that are unbalanced, and I don't think that that's fair, but I also think that all people should be able to participate in sports. You get what I'm saying? I just think there's a better way that we could be going about all this. But my point is that this narrative was pushed, and I had to tell my friend, like, no, babe, this is fake news. Like, I never thought that I'd be saying the whole fake news thing, but it's fake fucking news. And so after doing some research online, it turns out that the only thing about Imaine that's different from any other woman is the fact that she has some sort of hormone imbalance that makes her naturally produce more testosterone. I hate society. I hate y'all, not y'all watching this video who are fucking with me, but it's just really frustrating that the second a woman doesn't come out with like a feminine ass face and double D's and slim shoulders, she suddenly can be accused of being a man. And I just don't fucking get it. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, you motherfuckers are so, like, picky, choosy, you know what I'm saying? One second, you know, it's about female empowerment, especially in the eyes of somebody like J.K. Rowling, who's supposedly a fucking feminist. It's about female empowerment, but then when a female wins, or when a woman does, I don't know, something good, we have to come up with every excuse as to how she's biologically not a woman. In this case specifically, and in any other case, it's to just shame the woman. Another interesting point that I saw was the fact that we never really question white Americans when, you know, they win certain things, because it's always, oh, well, they worked hard. But when it comes to any of these other women of color, there always has to be some fucking excuse as to why they won. It always has to be based in some sort of cheat, or the fact that they had to have won unjustly. When it's like, bro, can we just allow them to have their win? And can that just be fucking cool and okay? So the only beef that I'll say about this whole Imaine situation is maybe they should have done two girls in the same weight class. And I know that that might be hard, because from what I see, Imaine is a bigger girl. And for that, I'll give that to people. There is a very visible size difference between these two women, and I don't know really what was up with that or what happened in terms of weight class, but at the end of the day, I just find it absolutely insane that these people were allowed to run with this narrative, and these really reputable, large people on these really gigantic fucking platforms. It's heartbreaking, and again, it just kind of breaks my heart, the fact that a woman really can't live, and we never, like, I know I'm a trans guy, but we never really will be able to live and coexist in the same kind of, like, peace. I think that obviously we deserve to. There's just always something that has to be wrong, and always something that has to be some sort of excuse. And if I could just say something a little bit crazy, when we're talking about, like, bone structure, I'm looking at the picture of Imaine and the other boxer that she was up against, and they both have strong ass facial features. Like, you really could fucking argue that a woman who has hairy arms could be a fucking cisgender man dressing up as a woman, or could be a trans woman. Like, where the fuck is the line with you people? Next thing we're gonna talk about is the other debacle, the, like, Last Supper, whatever. And before I go into that rant, that was, like, a couple days ago that I recorded that. And yesterday I watched a really amazing video by BJINVESTIGATES. She's one of my favorite YouTubers, and she breaks absolutely everything down. And it's interesting because I feel like after watching that video, I feel like the whole Last Supper, whatever thing that they did is 10 times worse than if it actually was a reenactment of the Last Supper. And before I start completely going in on them, I just want to say that whoever made these decisions knew that this was going to be inflammatory, knew that it was going to be disrespectful to some religions, and probably knew that it just looked like shit. Especially doing the research for this video and seeing all the comparisons of the past Olympics openings, this is going down in history as one of the worst, and I can see that. I don't want to say it, you guys. I really don't want to say it. But it's really shit like this that be making queer people look completely fucking bonked in their brain, bitch. Like, it's literally shit like this that gives us a bad fucking name. And it's like, dude, can I catch a fucking break? Can you Ava Kris Tysons and you fucking weird ass Olympians leave me out of it? Leave me the fuck out of this shit. Okay, I want off this fucking ride. Again, BJ Investigates video is really good, deep diving into the meaning of all this and even the far beyond history of what happened in the past and what these people are attempting to celebrate. And as I mentioned, it just makes it so much worse, and an actual cocktail of degeneracy and celebration of said degeneracy. And I'm so fucking over it. I'm also fucking tired of you other queers just giving us a bad name. Some of us really do just want to like chill here and be in peace, and y'all just keep fucking throwing us into the limelight in the worst fucking way possible. And I don't want it, bitch. There are other fucking ways that we could be exercising our rights right now and showing that we exist, and this was just a fucking disgusting way to do it. I also am really just having a hard time understanding the point, considering the fact that you cannot find the performance anywhere online. They've completely wiped it. They've completely destroyed the internet of this footage. And I'm sure that if I looked a little harder, I would be able to find it somewhere. But the fact that this is the 2024 Olympics, it's such a big deal, and it's completely gone off the internet. I don't know if there's because I don't know if this is because there was a wardrobe malfunction or because of how inflammatory it was. But at the end of the day, like, people be out here wilding out and doing it on live television in front of everybody, and it still manages to find its way online. And also, I just want to say that shit like this really pisses me off because it also takes away from the Olympics itself. We're supposed to be focusing on the athletes and how marvelous they are, how hard they've been training to get to the point that they're at. But we're over here fucking having to process whatever the fuck that weird-ass performance was, on top of the fact that Snoop Dogg just kept popping in on the fucking Olympics. What does Snoop Dogg have to do with the Olympics? What does he have to fucking do with anything sports-wise? And so, I don't know, you guys. I think that we're all getting really fucking sick and tired of these rich-ass 1%ers just flaunting their shenanigans. Like, bitch, I don't want it. And a lot of us don't fucking want it either. I can't wait until we all get to that point where we really are fed up with the bullshit and we're able to do something about it. So I'm gonna just keep manifesting until then. But I'm done. Here's me flaming the Olympics performance. There's one last thing that I want to talk about before we really part ways for real. A lot of people are upset because during the Olympics this year, for one of the performances, they basically allegedly tried to recreate the Last Supper. I heard from another guy that it's not the Last Supper, it's some other shit. And my point is not to go tit for tat on what this display is exactly supposed to be. My point is that one way or another, it looks like fucking shit. There, I said it. It looks like shit. Even if it was straight people wearing the same garments as them, even if there were no drag queens, this color scheme, this setup, would still look like uncohesive shit. And I'm not coming for anybody's body. I'm not coming for anybody's looks. I'm coming from an artistic standpoint. I'm coming from an artistic and creative standpoint. Everything about it looks like garbage. Let's pull it up. Let's go take a look. I just want to look at a picture. Oh my gosh, I just pulled it up and I already quite literally cannot. What the fuck is happening here? Why are all these outfits so different from one another? Why are the colors all over the place? Why is nobody matching? Why does it look like some people are dressed to hit the strip club? Why does it look like some people are dressed for the Met Gala? And why does it look like some people are dressed like they're Scottish? Why does it look like some people are dressed like a modern day teeny bopper? It's all over the place. Also, this one guy, he looks like he's wearing like Timberlands. He got a white suit with a red hat, and I think I saw him wearing Timberlands. What is happening here? It just fucking looks like shit. I'm sorry. I don't care who would have gone up there and done it. It just looks like fucking garbage. I'm fucking hysterical, okay? What is this? They got the blue Lorax on a tray of flowers. And everybody's they told everybody, dress how you want. There's no theme. Just dress however you want to dress. And that's what everybody did. Everybody understood the assignment. This look, and here, we got the side-by-side comparison of the Last Supper. I'm sorry, but the picture of the Last Supper serves so much more than whatever the fuck is happening up top. And you got a bunch of drag queens. Like, that's supposed to serve. That's supposed to show cunt. It's giving nothing. Go girl, give us fucking nothing. You all look like shit. You all look like fucking crazy. Y'all got set the fuck up. And y'all pissing me off. Not because of the religious connotation, but because you look fucking terrible. And the Olympics is like, what, one of the biggest fucking things? One of the biggest fucking things on the planet that fucking airs once every 4 years. And everybody looks like fucking garbage ass, fucking doo-doo ass fart, garbage ass on fucking fire. Like, what is going on? It's giving hot mess. It's giving hot, I don't even know, bruh. It just looks really bad. The blue Lorax is really pissing me off. Yeah, it looks basically like a middle school dance. That's how everybody's dressed. The attire for Olympics opening performance this year, I need all of y'all to get dressed like you're back in middle school again, like you're 12 and 11 again, and your parents let you dress yourself. They gave you unriddled freedom to allow yourself to get dressed and pick anything in your closet. And that's what the fuck this looks like, and I rest my fucking case. That's enough. But that's gonna do it for today's video. You could see I've taken a bit of a break, and it was unintentional. I've gotten sick a couple of times, and even now I am still sick, as at my job earlier today I was extremely weak, and still am. But still, sitting here talking to you guys has brought me more joy than anything. That aside, there are a lot of things going on in my life right now. And I don't know what's going to happen. So far, it looks like August has a lot of decisions to be made and will possibly be the last hurrah in terms of uploading as frequently as we have been thus far. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'll definitely keep you in the loop nonetheless. So if you've been watching for this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Be good and do good, please, unlike these fucking chuckleheads. Take care of yourselves.